Who did Caleb give his daughter in marriage to, and why is this person important? This is the question that we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of Joshua on Walking Through the Bible. Today we're going to be discussing Joshua 15, verses 13 to 19. But before we do that, let's read the passage. If you have a Bible with you, you can turn to Joshua chapter 15, verse 13. But if you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So Joshua 15, beginning at verse 13. Now to Caleb the son of Jephunneh he gave a share among the children of Judah, according to the commandment of the Lord to Joshua, namely Kirjath Arba, which is Hebron. Arba was the father of Anak. Caleb drove out the 3 sons of Anak from there, Sheshai, Ahiman, and Talmai, the children of Anak. Then he went up from there to the inhabitants of Debir. Formerly the name of Debir was Kirjath-Sepher. And Caleb said, He who attacks Kirjath-Sepher and takes it, to him I will give Achsah, my daughter, as a wife. So Othniel, the son of Kenaz, the brother of Caleb, took it, and he gave him Achsah, his daughter, as a wife. Now it was so, when she came to him, that she persuaded him to ask her father for a field. So she dismounted from her donkey, and Caleb said to her, What do you wish? She answered, Give me a blessing. Since you have given me land in the south, give me also springs of water. So he gave her the upper springs and the lower springs. In our last lesson, we saw the borders of Judah being delineated to us. Generally speaking, Judah's borders formed a rectangle in the southern portion of Canaan, conquered in chapter 10. Its eastern border was the Dead Sea all the way down to the border of Edom south of Kadesh. Its southern border went from there all the way to the Mediterranean Sea. Its western border was the Mediterranean Sea, while its northern border began at the top of the Dead Sea and snakes along until you get back to the Mediterranean. Some of the cities mentioned would help form the borders between Judah and the tribes of Benjamin and Dan. Notable cities mentioned was the city of Jerusalem, which was not originally in Judah, but formed the border between it and Benjamin, as well as the city of Kirjath-Jearim near the border of Dan and Judah. Coming now to verse 15, we again have the inheritance of Caleb mentioned. It is mentioned because, yes, it was part of the cities of Judah, but also because of another story that is mentioned that will also be mentioned in Judges. As we saw earlier, Caleb inherited the city of Hebron, the city where Abraham lived during his lifetime and near where the cave of Machpelah was. It was also known as a place where the Anakim, the giants, lived. Now back in Joshua 10, we saw that Hebron was defeated in the southern campaign of Joshua, but from chapter 13 we find that the giants and some other peoples did remain. 5 to 7 years have passed since that campaign, and so it is evident that some of the peoples who remained have repopulated some of these areas, including the giants in Hebron. Caleb, when taking possession of his inheritance, is said to have driven the children of Anak out. After settling Hebron, Caleb turned towards Debir in order to deal with that city. On our map now, we see that Debir was one of the 5 cities that came up against Gibeon, and one of the cities that Joshua destroyed. However, in the years since, Debir has been repopulated and needs to be conquered again. For Caleb not being able to take it on his own, meaning his band of soldiers, shows us that this city was quite fortified. In fact, Debir's other name is Kirjath-Sepher, meaning city of books, so it is quite likely that Debir was an important Canaanite town of learning, hence why it was repopulated and fortified. Caleb, though, wasn't going to be deterred, and he wasn't going to allow Debir to remain in Canaanite hands, especially since it is situated not too far from Hebron. So Caleb said that whoever took Debir would be given his daughter Achsah in marriage. And from the text we find that Othniel, the son of Kenaz, brother of Caleb, was the one who came up and took Debir, after which he married Caleb's daughter. Now there is some confusion as to whether Othniel was the brother of Caleb, both being the son of Kenaz, or whether he was the nephew of Caleb, with Kenaz being the brother of Caleb. Both readings could be correct from the formulation of the text itself. To that confusion, I suggest we consider the following. Caleb is described as the son of Jephunneh, not only in this passage, but in other passages as well. He is never described as the son of Kenaz, though he is called a Kenizzite in chapter 14. The fact that Caleb is called a Kenizzite, though, could show us that Kenaz is a common family name, as we will find that Caleb's grandson was also named Kenaz in 1 Chronicles 4, verse 15. So this would seem to preclude that Caleb was the son of Kenaz, rather that Kenaz was his brother. Add to that Caleb gave his daughter as a wife to Othniel, a marriage that would have been prohibited by Leviticus 18, verse 14, had Othniel been Caleb's brother, as Othniel would have been Caleb's daughter's uncle. And I believe that therefore it's safe to conclude that Othniel was Caleb's nephew and Asa's cousin. Why is it important that we remember the name Othniel? Because he is going to become the first judge in Israel in the book of Judges, after the death of Joshua. Once Othniel married Asa, he asked Asa to ask her father for a blessing, a field in the south, meaning south of Hebron, that contained springs of water. Caleb did this all too gladly, and this is where Othniel and Asa came to live. We'll conclude our look at the inheritance of the tribe of Judah, the Lord willing, in the next lesson. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of Joshua chapter 15, verses 20 to 63, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time. Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.